Welcome, fellow Imperials, to another edition of the State of the Xbox Empire. We have a ton of information on Xbox Series X tonight, and I'm really glad to be able to join my cohorts tonight. Of course, joining me is the Doomslayer himself, the man in the mask, Mr. Reese.
Greetings, Koobalings!
Oh, it's so good. So, Donnie, tell us about the mask real quick.
The Doomslayer
First off, I'm
helmet.
glad it fits.
The Doomslayer helmet. It's really hot in there. It's Halloween only. Wear it in the wintertime. That was my last Gamers Club Unlocked purchase. And when your Gamers Club expires, or like the week before it expires, they send you, I think it was like a 30 or 40% off coupon. And I had another coupon from all the games that I bought at E3. So I combined them because you could stack them, and I bought the Doom Collector's Edition because I've been really excited for this game for quite a while. And, I can't wait to play it. Never grew up considering like a Doom fan, you know. It was always kind of like the thing PC players did, so I never did it. But Doom 2016, I love that game. That game was so good, and I'll never forget I watched their presentation. I want to say Gamescom. I don't think that's right. It wasn't E3 though. It was a different conference. Because I remember just watching at work, and they showed off like this hook shot shotgun that you could use, and I was like, I've got to play this game. Like, so much of me has to play this game. It looks amazing. So
Hook shot, like the Zelda hook shot?
Yeah, like a hook shot shotgun. Like you could chain to people and then shoot them. So yeah, I was really excited. So I got the collector's edition for half off, and it was delayed and everything, but I stayed true. I stayed patient. And I got it. It came in this gigantic box. You had this huge helmet. I've been posting pictures of it. A lithograph, art book, things like that. I haven't played it yet. It's installing. I put it over on the X. It's loading up over there, but I will play it this weekend.
Very cool. Also rounding out the council tonight, we'll call it the council. That sounds kind of cool. Is from the northern borders that are currently only open for essential traffic, and this is essential traffic, Mr. Shangapri.
Essential, just as essential as GameStop, potentially. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm so excited that you reached out to me to ask me on the show, and I'm doubly excited because a special surprise. I didn't know Donnie was going to be here.
Donnie didn't know Donnie was going to be here.
I didn't know. I knew you had a week, man, and I know that you've been struggling with the 17-hour work days and not being able to really be part of the conversation. And I said to you earlier, I think it was yesterday or something, I'm like, I cannot wait to hear you talk about what happened this week with PS5 and Series X. So to have you right here to talk directly to me, I'm kind of standing out right now, dude. This is amazing.
Oh, well, you're setting me up to fail because I still really haven't consumed it all.
Fresh hot takes, man. Freshest hot takes.
I told Nathan, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, I was like, look, you're probably going to want to try to find somebody to do Empire. Like, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. There were multiple times throughout the week where I thought I was going to make it. I was like, I'm going to make Shaq this week. And it was like 4 hours later, it's like, this is absolutely not going to happen.
Oh, dang.
And I kept trying, and I was like, it's just not going to happen. And today, man, we were running and gunning from 7 to 1. And then at 2, it all just stopped. And we just kind of hung out a bit. We were still working, but it was a very normal day workload. So my boss was like, everybody stay home tomorrow. Stay plugged in, stay doing what you're doing. And he was like, Sunday, everybody unplug. He's like, turn your phone off, go away, spend time with your family and stuff like that. So Sunday, I'm going to get a chance to play some video games. And I feel awful because I'm so far behind where I wanted to be. I already feel like I'm behind everybody that I listen to. Not that it's a race, but I wanted to be so much further along than I am now. And then...
now you know what it's like to be the rest of us. No, this is our every single day, man.
And then Monday we were right back at it. We're setting up swab clinics, testing stations. That's our main mission right now. So we've got 2 up, and we've got more, and we're bringing in an incident management team from Louisiana and Texas to help us run them.
So pause for a second, Donnie, for listeners that may not know what you do. Give them a quick little rundown of what's going on in your world.
Yeah, I can do that. I want to say I can do that. I got to make sure I don't say things that are too damning. I work for emergency management here in Georgia. I'll leave it at that. And it's not that hard to figure out, but that's what I do. And a part of my job the main focus of my job is I manage a software, and I custom code the software to kind of fit the need of our responders during times of emergencies. And we use this software for all kinds of things, notably like patient tracking, which is something that I've done for marathons and like active shooter exercises and special events. I've done this for a long time. So understandably, like I'm tracking COVID-19 patients and test statuses and public health results and LabCorp results and CDC results and who's where and isolation locations and all that. And so we're doing those. We're doing the analytics. We're tracking our biggest mission right now is PPE, which is personal protective equipment. So face shields, masks, N95 masks, gowns, gloves, different sizes. All of my hospitals and first responders are out. And we are to like bare bone minimal levels where it is kind of a level of care. There's a level of care that Americans have that is far like supersedes the level of care that you get in most of the world. So in most medical facilities, you know, like you don't use the same gloves twice. You don't use the same mask twice. Like you see a patient, you throw all that away, you put on a fresh everything. So we're running out. Like we can't do that anymore. We're now starting to use the same mask twice, use the same gloves mask. And I'm sure everybody across the country is. So we've got over 100 outstanding PPE requests to the feds, the state, the Strategic National Stockpile, public health that we're hoping to get refilled. And they started releasing some today. So that was really, really good news. And I think that's why some of the hurriness, some of the hecticness of it all kind of started to subside as people started to get refilled. So it wasn't as dire. But at least here locally, you know, we're still seeing our trend right now is like 30% or more day over day in terms of growing, in terms of tested positives and all of that stuff. And everybody talks about the curve, and there's a lot that's been written about the curve and there's stuff like that. And like we're seeing the curve, and right now the curve is winning. Like we're losing on that front. Like we just don't have enough beds. You know, I know a lot of people are home. And I know that there's a lot of, I've been trying to, as much as I could, I took Discord and Twitter off my phone this week because I have Twitter set up for all these alerts, like deal alerts for when certain folks post things, you know. It was so distracting. Like I couldn't keep up with it. My phone was constantly buzzing and I was so busy. And, you know, with all the news that was breaking, like Xbox news and then PlayStation 5 news, there was like a direct that I still haven't seen, all kinds of stuff happening. I got to tell you, I felt so disconnected from like my normalcy. And I felt like I was so like the fear of missing out, like that FOMO. Whereas the FOMO before, it's like, oh, I want to buy something, so I do. This time it was like, I want to know and see all the things that everybody else is seeing, but I can't. There is no like, I can just buy it and I'll get over this feeling. It's like this feeling is eating at me, and
this is what we've been waiting for this whole time.
It's like, I can't believe I'm missing all of this. It's like, this is exactly right. It's like, this is so much what I've wanted to do. I just had to turn it off. I was like, I can't. It's gonna make me go crazy. It's gonna just. So I just turned it off, and a lot of our Discord folks have seen that I turned off Discord notifications for most of the last 10 days, probably 10, 12 days. I've just been offline. So I just kind of went away for a bit, and it's been a lot of gift it early, come home late. I haven't played a game when I have had free time. Basically, just like veg on the couch with my wife and watch a movie or something. But, you know, I know the point I wanted to say is I know a lot of people are out there thinking it's an overreaction, or because they're younger, they don't feel like, well, you know, why is this an issue for me? Like, why are we all, you know, I think a lot of people feel, I don't want to project, but it's just like some of the conjecture we're seeing from the emergency management side. A lot of people are feeling like, I am not in the at-risk population, so I don't understand why we're making all of these, you know, adjustments for this small amount of people. And if you're one of those people, you've been thinking about it and you maybe just don't understand it, the director of Emory's epidemiology painted it extremely clear for me. That at-risk population, as small as it is, think of 3%, if they all get sick in the same time, relatively, we're not talking like same week, same 60, 90 days, that will overrun our ERs. That will we're not capable to take 3%. So like this, I understand what a lot of folks feel like. They always feel like that warm and fuzzy of public safety, like they'll take care of us. That's what they do. it is what we do, and we'll try our best. But even like at current funding levels, at least here in Atlanta, I can't speak to LA and New York and everything, but I think it's pretty similar around the world. Like, we don't have capacity for 3% in 90 days. If we can stretch that 3% out a bit and take it over 6 to 8, 12 months, we'll be fine. But if 3% come in the next 40 days, we're going to be in a world of trouble. Where I mean, like, trying to determine who gets the respirator to breathe, trouble. And that's trouble that nobody wants. So if all of us staying home, canceling school for a couple of weeks, like, stops that from happening, that's what we're trying to do. Like, that's the ultimate goal. And somebody who's been chasing masks and trying to find vendors and getting gloves and stuff, because I'm not a first responder. I'm not out there like treating people. That's not what I do. I'm trying to help them do it. And as somebody who's trying to do that, I can tell you, like, we're tapped. Vendors are sold out. There's no resupplies. We're waiting on trucks. Like, it's already at that level, and it's really not that bad right now, considerably. I know it looks bad, but if we don't do what we're doing, 2 weeks like today could look amazing compared to what 2 weeks from today would look like if we keep going 30% every day. So, it's what I signed up for. It's my job. So if anything, I always kind of take the approach like, this is what we do. It's what we plan for. It's what we train for. It's what we're hired for. Like, this is why I have a job. So I'm not going to whine about it. If anything, I don't want to say it's fun. It's definitely not fun, but it is, I don't know the best way of explaining it without.
It's a challenge of a lifetime, man.
And it is like the one thing, right? Like, this is a once in a lifetime, once a generation type of event. It's not like this happens all the time. Like, we have Super Bowls and we have, marathons, but this is like, we close school, the whole country's down. So it's like, if you don't show up now, what are you here for? Like, this is the one you got to be on your game for. So it's almost like unifying. Like, we're all there and we all know exactly why we're there. So it's honestly like everybody just falls right in line and you just put your head down, get to the grindstone and get to work. So anyway, I don't want to spend too much of the show talking about that stuff, but I do want to say it's the first time I've gotten to talk to anybody about anything. And I am
talk about, man.
Really, really happy to do it. I don't know all the details that I normally know. I have not researched it and cross-referenced everything, so my opinions might be off, but I'm still really excited to hear about it, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it.
Well, on behalf of gamers everywhere, thank you for your work tirelessly on this behalf, by the way. Especially, I have a personal connection down in Georgia. I have some family down there, so keep them safe.
Try.
Before we move on to gaming, they did issue for Illinois today, joining New York and California, a stay-at-home, a shelter-in-place type initiative here. So now I am staying at home for the foreseeable future as well.
It's unfortunate that we have to do that, but we have to because all of the recommendations are not being listened to. Everybody's still out. They're still going to restaurants. They're packed. Like, our movie theater was packed the other day. I was like, let's go home.
Really?
It's sickening. Like, when you see like all the beaches in Florida that were all packed with people, it's just like, what are you guys doing?
Yep.
And unfortunately, so I don't think she has COVID. Hopefully she doesn't. But my dad told me tonight that my mom wasn't feeling well and she has a fever. So it's just kind of right now, it's like, ooh, are you doing everything? There's not much you can do right now. Obviously, there's just wait and see approaches, but it hits close to home for sure because you just never know who's gonna be susceptible because it's highly contagious. But we are here to talk about games, and we are here to talk about the fantastic news that we've heard in this past few days with Xbox Series X. Sean Capri.
Hi.
So, do they let you listen to Xbox information up in Canada, or is that censored like it is in China? I can't remember.
No, it translates to French Canadian first, and then to Canadian English. So there might be something a little bit lost, but I'm pretty sure I got the gist. Yeah.
Okay, so I know that you've probably been a little bit more into the news recently with Xbox Series X than our other esteemed member this evening. So I just wanted to kind of bounce some stuff off you, and Donnie, feel free to jump in whenever you'd like. So first off, they announced this a little while ago, and this was the concept of smart delivery. And we knew a while back, if you were paying attention to what was being said, that one license covers all. So basically, Xbox Play Anywhere. So if you have an Xbox One version of Halo Infinite, that'll translate to the PC version, that'll translate to the Series X version, right? So smart delivery has been known for a little bit, but now we're finding out even more about the Xbox Series X. We're finding out some specs. We're actually able to see if you're able to watch the Digital Foundry video, the hardware that makes up the actual box, the unit. So just to kind of get some level setting here, Sean, what has stood out to you the most from this news that we've received so far?
I think the way that it's being delivered, is pretty remarkable, especially now that we also have something to compare it to. It's not necessarily like the news on its own, because you look at like all the gigahertz and the teraflops and the RNDAs, or if it's DNA, or I don't even know if it's a protein or a memory or whatever.
Deoxyribonucleic.
Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing, obviously. It's the clarity in which it's being delivered in a way of like, there's some highly technical stuff that's being communicated this week, and everybody gets it. Everybody understands it. There are marketing terms for things that are important, and people kind of, I was tweeting about this today, like smart delivery, as you brought up. People kind of went like, they kind of shrugged it off a little bit, like, of course, like that's not news, that's not exciting, that's what we expect. And then we saw from PlayStation earlier this week trying to speak to kind of the same thing. We're really still not sure. And people who are PlayStation fans are like, we don't know what this is. Like, and you would think that they would bridge the gap just out of the benefit of the doubt. But nobody's really able to do that. And so the thing that my biggest takeaway from all of this was, they released the specs, they released all these features, these things that we can look forward to, very precisely, across a number of different ways. They've got, was it Austin Evans, the YouTuber, who was able to do a piece on it? Digital Foundry, of course, just like the monumental translator of all things technical for the rest of us idiots out there, but also managing to appease like the technical crowd as well. They kind of give them their little like nugget and bone, and they have all the specs there, and then they go, okay, so for the idiots like me, here's what this means. And I think that is phenomenal. There's tons to go through though, man. There's lots of good, there's lots of still questions about the proprietary expansion packs, and I have certainly opinions on all of that. But I think the key takeaway is what a massive shift from the launch of the Xbox One. These are not unique perspectives. I don't think everybody, I think, is on the same board with this, but totally different. There's been a few instances where Phil and the team over at Xbox has made mention of a very purposeful and different, unique approach to what they're doing this time versus last time, or really any time they've launched a console. And to do something new and different and nail it is quite remarkable. It's good. It's easy to do something for a second time and do it better the second time, to sort of improved and innovative. But this is way, way different. So I think that there is some goodwill that has been engendered over the last couple of years that's also helping them out here, where people are excited to hear from Xbox instead of going like, what do they got for us now? So it's well received, it's well delivered, it's all good, man, and it all makes sense. They've been drip feeding this information for a long time. So when something like smart delivery comes around, like, we knew that already, but we didn't know that. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like they've been speaking to it, but they haven't announced it. So when they announce new things, this is what was missing from Xbox One when they wanted to take us into a new place. They didn't take us along on the journey. They didn't include us in that future. They're like, this is how you will play because we said so. They're still kind of doing that this time, but they've really brought us along. And of course, Phil Spencer's so damn handsome. How can you not just like follow whatever he says? He's so smart and
almost Canadian handsome, almost.
So yeah, dude, I obviously Xbox fanboy over here, but what is there to be upset about at this point?
So you mentioned that you think the messaging has probably been the key, like the biggest thing so far. With obviously the changing circumstances that we have right now, we know that they started dripping this information out way long ago. But I feel like now with the cancellation of E3, the cancellation of Game or GDC, and some of these other events that are happening, that they may have used that as a platform to give more information. This just seems like a natural extension of what they've been doing the entire time. Do you think that has helped the messaging from what you're seeing?
It just seems like it was planned the whole time, to your point. Like, it seemed like they would have had a presentation and then they would have followed it up with all of this stuff. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of things that are changing, but some of this stuff would have been in the pipe for a while. it takes a little while to put some of those pieces together that Austin Evans has put together, that Digital Foundry, like they've had their hands on that stuff for a little bit, right? So which is going to benefit them, I think, especially over the couple of weeks where who the hell even knows how to even get to work and how to communicate to each other. Thank God it seems like they've had a plan right from the Game Awards. Like this is perfectly timed. There's nothing unsure about, like we're working on this still, which I'm sure we're going to get to some of the comments from Mark Cerny's ASMR presentation, which I didn't catch the entire thing, so I can't really speak to the entirety of it. However, there are lots of things coming out of that presentation where it was just as frustrating as the Nintendo Switch January 12th, 2017 thing that was like, we think we're going to be doing this, and like this is something that we're not really sure about. And it's like, this thing is coming out in months. Dude, like, why aren't you sure? Whereas Xbox they're sure. This is the box. This is the controller. This is how you share things. This is how you plug things in. This is how you expand the memory. Although you don't have to do that. There's a wonderful workaround that is very gamer centric towards that. So I don't know, man. We're going to get to a conversation, I think, at some point here where it's still not enough.
It's never going to be enough, right?
Never going to be enough. Like they've won the power thing, but I guess power doesn't matter anymore. It's always been about games, but the games all carry forward, and that's the only one who's actually talking about the games that are on the next generation is Xbox. It's Halo. It's freaking Cyberpunk, which, by the way, we don't know what's happening with Cyberpunk in PlayStation Land. I don't know if that's some sort of like marketing deal, but you would have to imagine that they would have said, you will also get, if you buy Cyberpunk on PS4, you get it for PS5 as well. Like, why haven't they said that? So
I feel a little bit, this could just be from where I'm sitting, right? I feel like Sony has been caught a little flat-footed in some of these announcements about, for instance, like you said with Cyberpunk. Like, whoa, where'd this come from? We were planning on just re-releasing it on PS5 or something like that. Maybe that was their strategy. Who knows? But I feel like the silence, the lack of information that's coming out of them is louder than anything. The old adage, silence, I can't talk, is deafening.
Only in Xbox land, not in PlayStation land. They're fine with it.
Right.
They got a confusing diagram about boost mode with PS4 Pro and whatever else, and I don't know what to make of The Last of Us 2 or The Ghost of Tsushima. Like, are you getting the better version?
I'm gonna run a little interference for them. I think the reason that they're being silent is that they still have.
I think so too.
That they've got a lot of things that they want to launch, that they want to focus on, that they don't want to take the spotlight off of. We don't know if they've got more pros that they're trying to sell. I think they're just kind of caught up in a bit of timing, and I don't think that they're ready. I'm pretty sure that they know exactly what they want to do and what the PS5 is and all that. I just don't think they're ready to have that unveil yet. So right now they're kind of open. They're like an open target, and Xbox seems to be swinging for the fences. Like, they are taking full advantage of it while they have the opportunity to do so.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and I think I'm glad you said that, because I do agree, and I'm kind of waiting for them to come back around. Mm-hmm. All I'm really trying to say is that benefit of the doubt has never been extended to Xbox.
That's true.
It's always been like, here they say, it's almost been the exact opposite, where they say a thing and somebody twists it and goes, well, this is really confusing. It's like, no, they said it pretty black and white. You're twisting the message. So that benefit of the doubt has rarely been extended to Xbox land.
I just had a few things off of your guys' approach and messaging. Again, I haven't been able to take it all in. I saw the highlights. I got to listen to a little bit of the Digital Founder video. I still haven't had a chance to sit down and completely take it all in and pause it and do the research on all the things that they're saying. I really feel like the reason that a lot of folks are excited about this is that for the first time in a while, Xbox is exuding confidence, and I think it's because they're back in their sweet spot. I think what made Xbox was their commitment to power, their commitment to PC, their commitment to this type of stuff. This is the space that made Xbox, the Ethernet port, DirectX. This is what they did. Hard drive. They got away from it, and now they're back. And not only are they back, they are as confident as ever that they are the best, that they're leading the way, that they're realizing the vision that they're pushing. That's the power of Microsoft. And I think the people that were excited for Xbox come from that. So that's why people are excited about 12 teraflops and all of this stuff and everything that they're unveiling. And I think that confidence exudes, as you mentioned, Sean. They didn't just put up a spec sheet. it's all here. Like they let people
Mhm.
hold the consoles. You can see people with the it's honestly like, why can't I have it now? Like what are we waiting on? You know, it's like, cause it's like they have, their product is not only finished, like their vision is completed. They're letting like, here's the box, take it home
Yep.
with you, write your own stuff. Like we're playing it, let you play it. I mean, it's all completely done. And that is such a far cry from the Xbox One. And I'll never forget like that whole summer of Xbox One where it felt like it was constantly changing left and right. This couldn't be any more from the case. They set a goal. They said, this is what Xbox is. And it seems like everything has fallen right in line to push that message. And yeah, it's nice to see them kind of back there again. It's nice to see them kind of, you know, feeling themselves.
Well, really, they've been working on this generation for basically since
Yeah.
Phil took over.
Yep.
So like they've done a lot of their homework. So they don't have to worry about like how are they going to handle backwards compatibility. Like they had that locked down like 3 years ago, right? They've been building the forward compatibility into it, even to the point of like I love the side-by-side screens, like the loading. And here's what it looks like with like 2 or 3 generations worth of Xbox on the same screen going from game to game to game. I'm so excited about so many of these features, man, that it's almost like the only reason that they are not letting you pre-order it right now is because that would force them to reveal the price. But I imagine that like, you would just love them to go reserve your Series X for a $50 something like down payment or whatever it is. Because like I feel like they would get people to do it at this stage.
Yeah, nope. That's the one shoe that's left to drop that we still don't know about. So for all the comparisons that we can make, and we can make a bunch. Apparently, we've got PlayStation stuff. I didn't watch the Cerny thing. Devin told me not to, but I did watch the Digital Foundry thing. There's a lot of comparisons. It's actually quite interesting to see kind of the different approaches that each box is taking. It's very interesting to see what that, you know, unveils as the next generation folds. But price is the one that we don't know, and it's probably the most important. It's the one most people will care about. And if one has a $100 advantage over the other, that's going to be a huge problem.
Do you think that's possible? Do you think it's even like we're not there anymore?
Nope. I think they will. It doesn't matter the loss. They will price match.
Yeah.
Whoever goes first will price match the other. Like they're just hold on to it.
Well, and to your point, like they are so different that you have to wonder, like, what is driving the price on one versus the other? Like, is it the GPU CPU power combo on the Xbox, or is it this cell processor? I'm totally like, I actually want to talk to Babbitt about this, but like everything that Cerny was talking about was like, look how masterfully we've architected this and designed this box. Are they like cell processing?
Completely different.
Is it
a different part? Like, you know,
I know it's a hard drive, but
I've been talking
about a lot of stuff.
I've been talking about this with Devin for quite a while now. Like I want to say like, man, back to the summertime, I've been hearing about this SSD, and this SSD, it is an SSD, and Xbox has an SSD. So they're both going to have extreme, you know, like load times and memory storage advantages just from having this. And we saw that in the load time comparison. You see the load time comparison State of Decay. But as you mentioned on the Xbox Drive, State of Decay still on Series X still has a load screen.
Yeah.
This Sony proprietary SSD technology that they're pushing, as I've read, I've been reading leaks about it. I've been seeing devs talk about it. Up until this point, it hasn't been unveiled. This is like a whole new revolution of storage.
Yeah.
And this is going to probably, I've heard it equated to, remember what Blu-ray did for movies? This is what this is going to do for storage, and like PCs and everything are going to adopt this going forward. And it's very funny to listen to people talk about it. You know, everybody kind of has their own camps. I'm not exactly sure. I think I want to say a few things. I actually think the SSD is a huge deal, and I agree. I don't think people will realize it until they see it. But when they see it, they're going to be like, "Wow, that's a lot better," because it is a lot better. It's almost twice as much better than the Series X.
I agree. I'm a believer. I have an M.2 in my PC. I go from Division on Xbox to Division on PC, and it's like the graphics are definitely better, but that load time is
lightning
incredible.
Fast. And in a console, what they're going to be able to do with this storage is going to be able to, as there was a talk that I walked about, or that I listened to on YouTube from a tech guy, and he was explaining to it with Forza, and how like when you're driving at fast speeds in Forza, how the hard drive like in the Xbox is using to stream so many assets to the game in real time. And there's like a limit on this bandwidth, this memory bandwidth that you can push. And basically Sony just like floored it. They just opened the floodgates on this stream. So it's honestly like, it's almost mimicking what we think as RAM. because it's going to be able to access it so fast, but it's also taking a huge lift off the RAM to be able to do this so fast and so efficiently with such speed and so much at the same time, that instead of using RAM or reserving RAM to perform these calculations, now the RAM's completely freed up. It's just, it's like super efficient. It's hard to explain. And I don't think there's a way that you can explain it until you show it to somebody, until they see an entire world zoom with no pop in, no frame drops, no screen tearing. It just snaps into place instantly. That's the thing that's going to, but the interesting thing that I'm excited to hear not only PSVG discuss about it, because I'm sure in multiple shows from XP to Game Tech to this show, we'll all kind of debate different ideas around it. I'm also wondering if in both boxes' case, that they're so far forward that we actually see a difference in them. I don't want to say anytime soon, but like honestly, maybe ever. Like the Xbox is just so much raw horsepower, it might not matter. Right? Like you could, like we might be talking about the difference of a few seconds in load times, which at the end of the day, if we were price comparative, I don't think it matters. Yeah. But at the same time, like I think the best question that I have now is, with the Sony's SSD, do game developers take a completely different approach to how they design games? Because if that's the case, then that's going to be a problem on the Xbox side. But the alter to that point is, can developers take a completely different approach to how they design games for this one limited piece of hardware that's different than PCs and consoles and Xbox and anything else?
That's my point about the cell processor.
The thing with the SSD is it's not available. You can't buy it. And when it becomes available, it's be super expensive. So it's not going to be out there. It might be the next generation, but it might be a generation away. So, and like, that's kind of the thing that's been bantering around in my head, is like, at the end of the day, is it even going to matter? Like, and we won't know. There's no way of knowing. We can't predict the future. We'll just have to see how it plays out. But you might be right with that comparison. I think the processors.
I have no idea. I don't understand how.
I think the processing made porting difficult, which is why I think that comment's a little off base, because this is going to, if anything, it's just going to like superpower the port. You put the port on it and all of a sudden everything starts streaming in faster, higher frequency than you're predicting.
I'm excited, man. I'm glad that the competition like drives us out of the two companies, because if there's one thing I have against this like, as I am not upgrading to a 4K TV anytime soon. Like, it's just not happening for me. So I want to get the absolute like most frame, because I even run I'm one of the only people who run plasmas anymore. So if you guys can get me like 600 frames, because those things can do 600 hertz, dude, I cannot believe we let plasmas die.
That is the thing, is also our TVs, even like, I'm not buying a new TV anytime soon. I've got 4K TVs around the house. I'm not buying a new one. I just bought all these. So that's the other part of it. Is how many people are actually going to be able to realize the full potential of this stuff?
I think they're both just going to be great. Like, that's the thing that we can actually look forward to.
I think you're exactly right. I think if we wanted to try and educate our listeners, load times would be much faster on PlayStation. Your frame rate might be more stable on Xbox. Like, if you tried to boil down what the tech means in each, if developers fully realize the potential of both, that's probably what we can look forward to. But even then, it might be minuscule.
Well, and the thing is, like, how often do you hit your load times if your games are on, like, if you have 5 games loaded up as quick resume?
Yeah.
Like, that's the feature that really has me pretty hyped up, because I hate having to close down a game or like go to Netflix or do something else or whatever it is and lose my spot completely. And the fact that like you're essentially just like your phone, just like swiping it aside and it's still there in the background is incredible. It's a feature that we don't know if PlayStation has or not. But those are the quality of life stuff that I'm so excited about. That's silly even.
Sony's revolutionary SSD, at least since it hit and since Cerny talked about it, I think it's overshadowed the fact that Xbox still has an SSD in it. And like, we can't undermine how big of a leap it is, even if it's half the speed. We might be talking about the difference between 1 second and 6 seconds, and that's both of those are incredible improvements over what we have now. What we have now, you try to get into GTA 5, it takes like 4 minutes. Like we're talking about a night and day difference, like a huge leap forward in both cases. So one might be behind the other, but does anybody really care if it's 5 or 6 seconds? I don't think anybody cares if it's minor. The question is, does it become bigger. I don't think so with an SSD.
Well, there's a reason why there's still other key pieces of information that we don't know, is because that's the final argument before they say, buy it, please.
Yeah.
It's how much does it cost and what are you going to be playing on the thing? Those, like, there's a reason why we don't know those
I
things.
think they're both going to be the
building
same price. I just don't know what the price are going to be. I think Sony's
You think so?
I think Sony's SSD is going to make their box expensive, and I think Xbox's
I think you're
12
right.
teraflops is going to make it expensive. I think they're both going to be expensive. I just don't know if both of them are ready to go $599. So I feel like both are going to sell at a loss for $499. I think that's what's going to happen.
So speaking of launch games, Donnie, it's a good time when a game launches with like 30 games or something like that in the launch window, right? It's a good time.
Yeah.
What if I told you
Everything
that Series
launched?
X will launch with 3,600 games?
Yeah. It's almost too much. It's too much to take in. But yeah, the full backwards. We're basically on PCs now. Like I said, as these things become more PC-like, Xbox like comes back to home base, and all of our games are just going to work, which is something that we should be really excited for, and we should talk about it, but also something that should be expected, and I think is the expectation. And if anybody was to go away from it, I honestly feel like it'd be like a suicide attempt. Like, you can't do that. You can't. back
Now that's
away from it.
interesting from a Nintendo point of view,
That
from
is.
a Nintendo fan's point of
Yeah.
view. Because every generation there's always different cartridges or whatever it is, right? There's no way to back play unless it's a virtual console. But like,
In which case, you still have to buy the games again.
yeah, exactly.
All you
I
have to do, though, is have one of the world's most recognizable video game characters and salvage the entire industry back in like 30 years ago. And then you
Astro
can
Boy?
do whatever you want.
Yep.
If you do that, you can do whatever you want.
I mean,
Xbox has not done that.
I'm not going to make the defenses for Nintendo, but they're completely different spaces, right? They're not PC-like. They're completely different format. Like, they're just completely their own different thing. So, like, holding them to 12 teraflops and backwards compatible generations, it's like apples and oranges. Very, very different.
So one of the components in the Series X that is a little different than the way Microsoft is doing it versus Sony is they have 16 gigs of GDDR6 RAM in the Series X. However, only was it 2.5 is available? No, sorry, 2.5 is reserved for the operating system, and then 13.5 is available for developers to use. And of that, I think it was 12 is going to be a higher speed, and then the final 4 are going to be a little lower speed.
I did see that. I wrote down a note. Like, half of it is roughly at like twice the memory bandwidth, which is super fast, like even faster than PlayStation 5's. But then the reserve part for the OS is slightly underclocked.
Right, because if obviously they're reserving it for the OS, so they're reserving that for the quick change, hopefully a snappier OS off the bat anyway.
That would be great.
Yeah, and they're also, the developers will be able to use part of that slower memory for audio development, whereas they can dedicate the entire 12 gigs to the visual side. So I think that's pretty exciting, pretty interesting. Sean, what do you think about the way that they're divvying up that memory a little bit, as opposed to the way Sony is doing it with all just one set?
I mean, it has to be better, right? It has to be. I don't know. I'm a little out of my element here, but I think that makes it a little bit more clear on what I was starting to think as you're talking about dedicated sound memory. I was like, are we one step away from having just a dedicated like sound card? Like back in the day in our PCs, we used to have like dedicated hardware so that we could have 3D audio. Like, this is going back a long time. It all seems like be built into our motherboards now, but that seemed to be better. So yeah, I have to imagine that that's a positive, but audio is a tricky thing, dude. Like, that's something that we can get excited about, and I'm sure it's going to be great. But when we talk about TVs and most people not having the most like high-tech TV with 4K, the proper HDR and potentially 120 hertz on those types of things, audio is even trickier, man. And there's a whole other conversation that I wish I was listening to Unlocked with Ryan McCaffrey, and he was shaking his fist in the heavens with the optical port being gone. And it's like, that's not as high. You can't get as high quality audio out of an optical port than you can with HDMI 2.1. That's where we're at. So like back in my day, like I was excited to go from 1.3 to 1.4A or whatever.
Can I take a completely off the wall tangent here? Because I think you'll appreciate this, Sean. I've been listening to podcasts. I've basically gotten like one podcast on my way into work and one podcast home. So I'm like woefully behind in podcasts. But I got to tell you something. Something that I noticed this week with the distancing and everything, all of the podcasts that used to film in studios, and I'm going to say IGN, I'm not trying to put them on blast. It's not just them, it's everyone.
I know.
Have you notice the huge dip that they are having trouble living life like us?
Like
and
us.
It's interesting. I'm like, we are way better at this than they are.
It's so funny. You're right. I was thinking the same thing. Seeing all these they all look the same. Like everybody, we all have the same like looking bedrooms.
It's like they just like capturing like their entire monitor screen with like Skype on it. Like there's no overlays, there's no production. They're like everybody's got their own mics and everything.
That's
like,
hilarious.
Oh, they are behind. Like they were not ready for this.
Yeah. That's so good. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I forgot, but I had noticed that for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. The only thing I want to say about your memory thing, Plug, Nathan, is remember 7 nanometer, new processor, new gen processor, right? We're not Jaguar anymore. All of that and the SSD means that even though we don't have like a giant double of RAM, which is what we're accustomed to, this RAM is not going to be taxed to do what it's been doing. It's like completely more efficient across the board in both consoles. So if you're one of those people who are like, I'm fine with my PlayStation 4, I'm fine with my Xbox One, like that's fine, you can. But like, don't look at that RAM number and be like, see, it's not even that big of a deal. It's a huge deal. There's so much more resources for the developer to take advantage of.
Look at PS4 versus Xbox One at launch. It was a generation difference in RAM too. It was less and it was back. Like they really, like they didn't stand a chance, man. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. So we have a real life comparison of what a generation of RAM does. VCR Xbox, that's what it did.
Another thing is talking about the CPU. So I picked this up from the Digital Foundry video. With the CPU on a computer, it depends on the heat of the computer to know how fast it can actually run, how much power it can actually put out. With the Xbox Series X, it has been designed to operate at highest efficiency no matter what the temperature of the unit is. So, like I said, with a computer, you can have where the power goes down because it's trying to cut the heat that's being produced. Whereas the heating solution, apparently, on the Series X is going to be good enough so that it can run at the optimal position the entire time and not have to throttle itself, which will be evident in games like Forza Horizon or something like that, where they have these beautiful things going on, or Gears 5, where they have all the ray tracing and everything like that that's happening as well. But I did also want to mention that games like Gears of War Ultimate Edition, the first one, they have that running natively in 4K on the Series X. So it's one of those, remember how we had the Enhanced by X, the free masters, if you will? They're going to double down on that with the Series X and have now 4K versions of these original Xbox games. So as part of a value add conversation, just want to get your guys' pulse on this. Do you think A, that backwards compatibility is still going to play a factor, and B, does it interest you to go back and maybe even experience these games again in native 4K?
Yeah, man, big time. I mean, like I've been doing that since it was a thing with Xbox One X. The only thing that I'll say, and to just sort of like round out my Xbox fanboyism that I'm as high on display here, is we don't have a Metal Gear Solid to do that with. I love Gears of War as much as the next person, but we don't have those absolute classics that would destroy. I was really afraid that graphic on, not afraid, but just like, I don't know. I was kind of expecting Mark Cerny to go, there's back compat on PS4 Pro and it does this boost mode thing, and then here's PS4, and there's space. You're just waiting for 3, 2, and 1 to come in. You're like, good God, just like, we'll just quit. Just everybody quit. That's it. That's over. It just seems like that would be enough to go. The future is Stadia and Switch and PS5, man. That's it. So I love the free masters. I wish that it got even more love, because you got to know, if that was on any other system, people would be losing their absolute minds. These things your game that you've owned the entire time looks remarkably better, and it loads better, and it's actual magic. And yeah, man, this is a real thing, and you can bring it forward with your external hard drive. All your games carry forward. I definitely noticed a difference playing a bunch of games on the X, and I can't imagine what it's going to do with the Series X once again.
After Fable got the treatment, I went back and replayed it, if you remember, Nathan, and just because I wanted to experience it. I do agree with Sean, though, because it's not all games, it's select ones, and then out of those select ones, I don't think a lot of them carry the weight. That's something like Metal Gear, like that it does. It doesn't sit on that pedestal. And a lot of the ones that probably would, like Halo, they've already completely, fully remastered it several times. It's been, redone over and over again.
I was going to argue against myself with Halo, just with what we're seeing over on Steam. And the Master Chief Collection, when they released Reach and then they released Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition, there's a crowd for that one, man.
Sure. Yeah.
Halo is far from
I was going
dead.
to say, if you remove that one because it's been remastered, right? If you're just going back to your old ROMs that just play better now, if you take those out of it, there's a lot less in the library.
True.
It's Gears and, I don't know, maybe Fable.
Yeah.
Is anybody playing Forza 2 or what's the other ones? It's limited, especially if you're taking out like the third party games. If you're not getting the sports games, you're not getting the licensed games. I would love to play NCAA 14, Xbox Enhanced, like things like that, like any of those old sport, but none of those are included. It's basically first and key, third party titles. So it's not everything. And I think that's the one thing that stops it from being the juggernaut, bullet point that everybody kind of thinks it is.
Mm-hmm. So how important is 8K to you guys?
It's not.
No. Give me a really dense, give me every single shader, every whatever, FOV, I think that's supposed to be good, anti-alias, all the things on a 1080p. I'm stoked, man.
So what if it was 8K super sampled down to 1080p?
I do notice a difference when you go 4K super sampled down to 1080p, because that's all I've got in my house, and games actually look better. It's super samples, like anything with the word super in it sounds lame. It's even like a supercharger. I'm like, oh man, I'd rather give me turbo. But I think supercharger is probably better. It's just super. It's just such a lame adjective.
Somewhere Clark Kent is sad.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. I definitely notice it. So yes, please, all of it. It just makes it nice. It's kind of like Donnie and I know this, when we went from an 3DS XL back down to the new 3DS with a smaller screen.
Picture.
It's just denser pixels, man. It's really nice.
Same thing with the light. It improves it because exactly.
So we have the possibility with the Series X to hit 8K resolutions, and we also have the possibility to hit 120 frames per second. Do either of you guys have 120 frames per second capable screens, monitors?
I do now. I just recently purchased this week that I'm looking at you right now on a beautiful ultra wide 144 hertz monitor that I purchased. And I'm going to be playing Ori on this thing tomorrow. And I already booted it up. It looks gorgeous ultra wide. It's fantastic. But this is the only screen in the house that I have. So going back to my point, how much does it matter? I think both of these boxes for next gen are more than capable. The standard should be 4K 60 stable, with all of the performance features, the lighting, the particle effects, everything. I'm good. That's the base. If you do that for 8 years, I'm perfectly fine. That is great. Because I wonder how much that extra stuff. Now, I've listened to PC players and they're 120 frames is way better than 60. But how many people are going to be able to take advantage of that? Not many TVs. If you've got a TV that's doing that, that's a very expensive TV.
Do you think so? I feel like you see a lot. Isn't anytime you see a Motion Plus 120, isn't that what that is, Nathan?
120?
I mean, yeah.
120 and 240 in that frame rate. They have those. Samsung and Sony both have some. But the thing is with those, they don't have HDR. So those are going to be maybe 4K, but not HDR with the higher frame rate.
Okay. And it's still it's a step up from the entry level 4K HDR.
It's definitely not entry level. That's definitely not. Yeah, but I feel we probably my mother-in-law probably has a 4K 120.
120?
I'm almost positive about it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's for the
But
soap
again, like
opera viewer.
I don't know. That's the thing, like because it doesn't look good on regular TV. I'm like, maybe I'm talking about something else here. But like if you watch regular TV at that 120 sampler, it's like
It does
looks
not
like
look good.
shit. So it's like, thank God that
Everybody starts
like
clipping.
Xbox and PlayStation can come in here and like put some use to this stupid ass frame rate that's costing everybody more money.
hmm And to make sure you do get use of it, so let's say you have it and you don't realize it, with HDMI 2.1, they are talking about being able to shift your game
Yeah.
to a game mode
That's
to have the best use of the screen that you have. So let's say you're at grandma's house, she doesn't know what she has, and she has an Xbox Series X for some reason, and she plugs it in, she's playing Ori.
Why do we
I
always
just
go to
lugged over.
grandma? What is
I know.
with this analogy
I
that
know.
we've
I
all
love
adopted?
It's
We've
so
got to stop this.
Grandma's cool. So she's playing Ori, she doesn't realize it. That she has it now in 120 or
Playing Game
240
Boy
frames
is
per
what
second.
she's playing.
My mom is a grandma, and she just let me know, thanks to this whole quarantine situation, that she fired up Zumba on her Xbox 360. And
Bring back Connect.
No,
Yeah, she was very happy about it.
do not do that.
All right, but now the piece de resistance, if you will, is ray tracing, is the
Yes.
rate shading. So we saw some examples from Minecraft, obviously, of how just using ray tracing can affect what it looks like. And I mean, we've seen examples of ray tracing to a lesser extent. For instance, at the beginning of Gears 5, right, when they're going through and you're going down that pit at the very beginning of the game. I know this because that's the only part I've seen. So you go down, you've got all the colors, yes, but
You host an
visuals.
Xbox show.
I play Apex.
Would you
Wait, that's
play
how many
Gears
hours in
5
Apex?
already?
Hey, I might have some time with this whole thing. I gotta stay home. So anyway,
Plays 400
Um,
hours of Apex later.
so we've seen, to some extent what that would look like. But what did you guys get a chance? I know you probably didn't, Donnie, but Sean, did you get a chance to see that Minecraft video out where they have turned on the ray tracing?
It seems impossible. Like all they do is just like flip a switch and they go ray tracing is on, and then it looks like that's not a new game. That's not like it's just it does light different, and you
Yep.
get these gorgeous shiny reflective surfaces.
Audio
and-
too.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap, dude! Can I see that without HDR? Is that a thing? Like do you need HDR to see
No.
ray tracing? Like
No, that's in the processing power. You don't need HDR.
God.
It's enhanced with HDR, but you can see everything. It's part of the graphic processing.
because my plasmas that I game on for the most part are from like 2012, and those things are rock solid, dude. They're bulletproof. They're not going anywhere. I love those TVs. So as long as because I'm not getting HDR anytime soon either. There's no HDR. There's no 4K. I just want to really get 1080p at no load times. I don't need this series. Like, what am I talking myself out of this series?
So with the Minecraft piece alone, I think he said during that video that to get it to work in the way that they were showing it there between the two versions, it took one guy about a month to develop it.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane? So just think about an entire team of people being able to dedicate to from the ground up with this ray tracing technology, how that's going to look. Halo Infinite, I guarantee you, when you start that game up on Series X, there's going to be an amazing opening mission that has all these particle effects and all these ray tracings that's going to blow your socks off.
I thought that was kind of the point with ray tracing, was the fact that it's all AI machine learning. That's why you want the hardware dedicated graphics, to take the load off of simulating shadows and stuff that devs have been spending time doing, and now you just offload that to ray tracing. Is that misplaced?
It's a similar concept to what was I gonna? There's another technology. What's it called when levels are just randomly designed?
Procedural.
Yes, it's a similar technology to procedural generation,
Yeah.
but for the display.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was like the whole big focus, even going there, is like, we can stop these folks from having to simulate light. Let's just have the light be natural and reflect off of the objects that are in the game, which takes AI, which is why you need hardware to run it.
And everybody like really they think of Gears, they think of Halo, but and I'm not trying to take anything away from those games. For whatever reason though, they don't really tend to hit in the same way that games like Uncharted and The Last of Us and a few games like some games from Sony stable. I will always kind of give them the tip of the hat of like their cinematic style, everything. They seem to just squeeze every ounce of power out of the PlayStation. But Hellblade 2 is the one. That is the one with the shadows and the lighting and the like.
Audio.
When I say the name Hellblade, I think of that trailer, and it's like flashes of terror, and it's like that is what we have needed this entire time. Halo it's great, and Gears they're fine. They're popcorn though. I need something that terrifies my lungs, like that, like scares my organs into thinking they're not going to survive the night of playing this game. Of like this isn't supposed to be possible. But Halo is and Gears are always like that. This is really cool. I'll take away Gears 1. The first time I ever saw the first Gears of War, I didn't think anything like that was possible. That was a remarkable moment for sure. And Halo looks really good too. We need something like Hellblade in the Xbox stable.
That's what I said
that's well welcomed.
when they bought Ninja Theory. I was like, this is the game that they've been missing for a very, very long time. And I played Hellblade on PlayStation the first time I played it. But you're exactly right. This is the thing that's missing from their stable, and it is exactly the perfect set piece where they can demonstrate all of the fancy things because it's going to be slower, it's going to be linear, it's going to be single player. So they have all the time in the world to show you every beautiful particle, every light ray, every god ray, the audio, bounce it all around your headphones from all different angles. Just be a full-on showpiece.
A good point. Hellblade with that 3D audio that we're all talking about now as well, with some new everybody's wearing headphones now too, so that makes it a little bit easier. Back in the day, you had to have the latest greatest amplifier or home theater receiver, which was probably $1,200 plus the speakers. Like it was a very expensive proposition. So that's really nice, man.
So moving on to what we know as far as the ports now. So there's going to be 3 USB ports on this guy. There's going to be two in the back, one in the front.
Yeah.
There's going to be an internal power supply. There's going to be an internal power supply, which is a nice welcome from what we had back in the VCR days when it was external again. And then we have one HDMI output, so no inputs for HDMI anymore. And
that diagnostic port you were talking about, right, Nate?
We have the diagnostic.
It's a diagnostic port, Donnie. You got all mad at me. You went on and on. It's a freaking diagnostic port, Donnie.
What did you think it was? If it
I
wasn't
told him what it was. It was expandable storage port.
You thought so right from the start?
I didn't think so. I got it from Thurot from Brad Sams. Like he had a picture of it, and he was like, "This I'm being told from a person with a dev kit on Xbox Game Studios that this is what it was." Nathan's like, "It's a freaking diagnosis port."
It still doesn't make a lot of sense, but
it does.
But so the diagnostic port.
I'm actually really excited about this. So can I ask my question? You mind if I just Rochambeau you here?
Yeah.
So I've been asking everybody this question because I actually think it's it's a different take, and it's interesting to hear how people think about it. Proprietary storage has a negative connotation, I think, particularly after the Vita.
Yeah.
Because they had proprietary storage and it's very expensive. So Xbox is doing proprietary storage game cards. I have been talking about a solution like this for a while because having known that we were going to SSDs, this was going to be paramount. They have to do something because it doesn't matter what SSD you have or what hard drive you have. If you are plugging into a USB connector to get to the motherboard, it will not perform as fast as the onboard SSD. It won't perform half as fast. And that's a huge problem. Because if before we knew about this little card trick they're doing, basically what that meant you had to do is either had to replace the onboard storage if you wanted to, really, really expensive. SSD is not cheap. Like even in PC parts, like it's not very cheap. Or you had to come up with something like this because if we were going to run off external hard drives, like your performance was going to be poo. Like it was going to suck. It was really going to be bad.
You see some of that already with people having like anytime anybody has trouble, it's like, is it on an external drive?
I just upgraded all of my external drives because I had a 5400 RPM WD drive on my Xbox. Every game I played off of it stuttered like crazy. It drove me mad. Yeah. I went and bought one of the Xbox branded WD black storage. I have 2 of them now, so I never have to have that problem again. But I've been saying like this is going to be a problem. Like we have to have better storage, and we can't be limited to what's on the box because a terabyte. As happy as I'm happy to say that they have a terabyte, that's great. It's not much. You're gonna go through a terabyte like it's nothing. I got 5 terabytes on my Xbox One now,
Good
and
God.
I know I'm crazy, but I like hoard all this stuff. I digitally like they make it available, and I wanna have it. I don't want to hit play and be told I have to wait, especially with some of these games, man. You're talking about a 70, 80 gigabyte download on digital purchase. That could take a while to download. I don't want to wait. I want to play it, right? I want to play it right away. So I download everything, and I want to keep it just in case I have the whim to play it. So the question I've been asking everybody is we have 2 very different solutions for the same problem. Xbox has come up with these 1 terabyte proprietary storage cards that will connect right into the SSD and expand your storage, like right to it, which is, to be honest with you, I give them kudos. I wasn't expecting anything like that. I was like, that's actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. So basically we have the return of memory cards. Which people have been mocking, having fun at, and then also because it says proprietary, oh my God, this is going to be expensive. This is bad. You have Sony's solution. They're building an extra port on the PlayStation 5 for you to open your console like a PC and stick a new stick in, which is everybody's like praising them for, oh my God, this is so consumer friendly. For a storage medium that doesn't even exist, it's not purchasable yet. We have no idea how expensive it's going to be. So here's the interesting thing is I think they're both going to be expensive. Everybody seems to be like Xbox is bad because it's going to cost so much. I'm like, that memory stick for the PS5 is going to cost so much more than the little card for the Xbox. My only question on the Xbox is, can I get it in a bigger format than 1 terabyte? I would pay, give me 4 terabytes or 8 terabytes. I will go that far if they can do it.
Dude, there's so much to unpack here, and I agree with you that like what they're talking about with PlayStation is it's actually like rocket technology. Like these are things that are like going to take us to the moon. It's like we don't have it yet. We need to go to space first to discover it, to bring it back down so that you can buy it and then perform surgery on your PlayStation, which I've never enjoyed. That was in the early days of the PS4. That was the only way you could expand your memory.
Yep.
You had to open it up. You had to replace
Swap
it with
the drive, take the screw out, pull the thing out. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And you'd probably end up just like screwing up your eject button. Like maybe not that's what I did. So I think one of your questions was, are there different sizes? I believe the answer was yes. I think they did confirm up to 4 terabytes within that format. So that is great. And then the other side of it too is like where I really start to see like the consumer choice and the gamer centric stuff come back around is that you can still have a regular old external hard drive attached to the system, loaded up with your Series X games. You just can't play them all off of that drive. Right. So if you have like, I don't know how many games you're going to get out of that one internal, like 1 terabyte drive. But if you've got your 4 terabyte external hard drive loaded up with a bunch of Series X games, you're just swapping back and forth. You can have maybe 5 or 6 games on your internal drive. Those are the ones on the go. And then you just move things around rather than having to download them back.
Yep.
So I would just do that. I would spend maybe a couple $100 on an external drive just to have the games at the ready. And, rather than spending hundreds of dollars for an expansion pack or expansion drive.
So the reason that I asked the question to everybody, and it's not to like stoke any fanboy flames, is that I actually I think I prefer the Xbox method because it's the ease of use and the convenience. Mm-hmm. You could buy multiples of these. You could have games on them and you could swap them. It's not a permanent. The PlayStation solution is so permanent. Like you've got to take the top off your console, buy another storage, and put it in the only slot that exists. And if you ever want to change it, you got to do all that again. The Xbox solution's like you get one, you use it until it fills up, and you get another one. Oh, now you got to swap it. You pull one out, you put the new one in, and like you're off and running. There's no screws. You don't need a screwdriver. You don't need a tutorial video. You know, like there's none of that. Like it's simple. It's elegant. It's a simple solution for customers. I think I prefer that.
Have you tried to, or know anybody? I definitely know somebody who's put a 1 terabyte micro SD card into their Nintendo Switch.
No,
not proprietary.
I know somebody that has.
Really, mm-hmm.
I have a 500, but I never went the 1 terabyte.
So also very expensive, right? So that's one side of it. The 1 terabyte is like the massive storage on that thing is so crazy very similar to what PlayStation is going to be doing, only select ones work. And even sometimes the select ones don't even work. And so that's something where like that, you could be easily getting yourself into trouble. Even after like opening your thing up, imagine going through the surgery and then realizing I bought the wrong one, or I bought the right one and
or
it's
a
not
patch
working.
has screwed it up.
Like,
And that's not on
holy
PlayStation's
crap,
fault, but like that's a thing that can very easily happen. PC
I don't think we're
players
stretching
know
on that.
exactly what I'm talking about. Like it's very plausible. That's not good. Like your entire stick needs to be reformatted or something. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on from that side of the house, there's one other thing that I wanted to talk about because I know we're kind of getting close to time here. The revamped controller. So they had hands on that. The folks at Digital Foundry thought that it was a little bit smaller than the other one. Which, Sean, I think you called out like first off the bat, didn't you? Didn't you think it was a little bit smaller? Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to spot it from the image, but I believe that there were some studies about the size of hands that people had, and I guess I don't know why this is better, but
So the D-pad is also, it looks really nice and looks really responsive. I like the look of it. As far as the standard controller goes, like I'll still use my Elite version too. But this looks like a really great controller. Like they have the improved bumpers and triggers they mentioned. They have the texturing on the triggers.
Listen to all the important parts.
Share button.
Share button.
Okay, so Donnie, so what if on the Series 2, if they made it work so like if you hit the hamburger button and the start button at the same time,
Nope.
if that was your share button.
Don't want combinations. Nope. Nope. Need a button that does the thing. Okay, I don't need to.
Hate it.
Here's the problem with the share button, Nathan, is you got to remember how to use it. That sucks. Nobody wants to do that. It needs to be a dedicated button.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to share what they're doing. That's social. That's
such
modern.
a huge miss on the Series 2.
Huge
Yeah.
miss. So yeah, we don't need hotkeys and combinations. And if you hold this and press that, well, no, we're not trying to put in the Konami code. We're trying to take a screenshot. Press one button, screenshot. I have it set up on I finally got my Elite to work the way I want it, and it's so ridiculous. I bought this expensive controller, and it's beautiful. It feels amazing, but I paid all this money to basically turn all these paddles everybody's excited into screenshot and video buttons. That's all they do for me. That's all I've set them up for, and that's all I really want out of them. So I'm actually the opposite of you. I'm going to use the new Series X controller over my. You know what I'm going to do? It's my Elite 2 is going to become my PC controller. I'm going to pair it to my PC, and that'll be the only controller I ever use on PC. And I'll use my Xbox One on my Series X.
I mean, to each his own. To me, the share button just isn't that important. Like on the Nintendo Switch Pro, I think I've told you before how many times I have like just random screenshots of Zelda doing Link, doing weird things. It's just, I mean, because I was looking for the map button, but I hit the other button.
Things to just blow this argument out of the water. Like so many things, Nathan. You haven't played your Switch long enough to even like. Are you sure? Can you tell me exactly which button is the share button right now?
It's top left on the face. Top left on the face, isn't it?
No.
On the Pro? I'm playing with a Pro controller. The Switch Pro controller.
Okay. On the Pro, yes.
So thank you. It's yes.
Yeah,
because I don't play with the other controllers.
Yeah, no. The issue is the share button. That's the most important thing. And I'm excited. I actually think the new controller looks great. And I like that they're adopting a lot of the Elite things into it. You know, like the D-pad things. I think it has me excited. That's still a thing, right? They're going to do that little dome D-pad and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, see, that's awesome. It's just going to be a cheaper built Elite controller with the proper share button. So,
yeah. All right, gentlemen, we've been talking for a little while here, but Sean, what final words for this episode do you have?
I want it in my hands. I want to know how much it's going to cost. I want to know what it smells like.
Speaking of one in your hands, how do you think it looks? Like now that we've seen people hold it, it's baby's got back, man. She's thick.
I know. We're talking about how big like the OG Xbox was, and like the
and this thing is like
Xbox One. This thing is a beast. Dude,
here's the thing. It's still not as big as I thought it was when they unveiled it. When they unveiled it, I was like, "Oh my lord!" It's
kind of what I expected. That's actually kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just can't wait to see what the PlayStation looks like. Like, is it the vacuum cleaner or whatever?
That's right.
Like,
they didn't show it.
I don't know what the box looks like.
I was completely stunned. I come up for air and I was like, "How is the PlayStation 5?" And they're like, "We just got specs." I was like, "What's it look like?" They're like, "They didn't show it." I was like, "What's the games?" Like, they didn't show any. I was like, "What did they do? What happened? Like, what happened?"
Go watch. Go watch. Yeah, that's the other part too that we won't know until like months after they even launch. It's like these both these systems are pushing so much power. The temperatures they're going to be generating are just so crazy. Are they going to last? Like,
That's a good
what
question.
are the build qualities going to be like on these
the
things?
Xbox, you've got this big old tunnel vortex thing that they're doing, which is
Sure,
Yeah.
hopefully it works. Like,
what if,
if
it
anything,
like blows stuff off your wall? Like if you have like
I know.
like a picture falls.
no kidding. Like your pictures are just taking flight around the house or whatever, it's creating like high and low pressure zones within your basement.
You
Whatever.
like feel a breeze and like it careens off the corner of your ceiling and back down towards your couch.
Seriously, like we could be in real trouble here. But that's always a concern, especially after like Red Ring of Death.
Sure.
You'd think that they would over engineer this thing, but I don't know that like I think Mark Cerny was talking about how they've really adjusted, and everybody talks about the PlayStation as sounds like it's a jet engine taking off when it's starting to push it. So he did spend some time on like, we know that's a thing, and we know that when you hear it doing that, it's like it's kind of on the edge.
Yeah.
Like that isn't just us going like, "Ooh, that doesn't sound."
My
It's like
ex
no,
has
that really
gotten
isn't
like
good.
that at times with some games. My ex has gotten pretty loud. I'm like, oh, that's
Pushing
different.
it.
Yeah,
It's pushing it for sure. So I think it's on their mind. We'll see, dude. That's the thing that we won't know, but you can't know until we get our hands on it. But I can't wait to see what the PlayStation looks like. Generally, the PlayStations have looked really nice, especially the PS4 when it launched. I was like, that's one of the sexiest consoles I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if they balance like really good looking design with smart design and long lasting design.
So, Sean, since the price is one of the things that you're wondering, knowing what we know now, what are you thinking as far as the price point for the console?
I don't know, man. It's probably going to be $599 $4.99. I keep messing up Canadian, and I don't know if they can do much more than $4.99. But
$4.99 seems like such a steal for what's in it.
No kidding.
To get what it does out of a PC is going to be so expensive. To ask them to be $4.99 feels like we're asking for so much, but at the same time, I feel like they can't go a penny over.
But the thing too is like we're really comparing to other console launches, but also like what the current systems cost, and it's like that Xbox One X just went down to $199,
which is ridiculous.
And I mean, even if I don't know if that's still available.
We got Seth one.
Just buy one. It's your investment into the next system. I feel like you can trade that thing in if GameStop doesn't bury itself into the ground before then. But yeah, I think more than the price, like the raw price of itself, that is going to be the story here is your purchase options. I think you're going to see a lot of different ways for you to get into a Series X versus PlayStation. I think will just have this is the price and that's it. I think Xbox will have this is a price, but if you want to do a Game Pass like all access thing where you basically like lease to own or rent to own kind of thing, you sign a contract and you sort of like have it built into your Game Pass price. I think that could be a real winner. So you can jam pack this thing with all the latest, greatest technology. It's a $1,200 piece that it's just like your phone that you walk out of the store without paying anything. And I highly anticipate that will be part of their journey and their strategy to race to 10 million units sold. Have people go into the store and walk out not paying anything.
I mean, that would be obviously a great strategy.
I'm hoping.
I'm hoping for a $499. I think that would really be like the sweet spot for this unit. Plus, considering with the proprietary expansion drive, many people will buy one. If that is priced high enough to have margin to offset cost, that could be one way to do things there. So I'm hoping for $499 at least. So that's my 2 cents. Donnie. What final thoughts do you have for this week?
I'm buying one of those card expansions for sure. $4.99 seems like the price that everybody will happily buy, and I feel like that's the price that the console folks have got to be at. But again, I just don't. Based on what's inside the box, like it's such a big loss. I don't know if we've ever seen somebody take a loss like that, because we're not talking like. The PlayStation 4, if you like counted in marketing stuff, was like basically sold almost at cost, like maybe a $10 loss. This would be like $100 loss.
PS3 sold at a considerable loss, especially when you think about that Blu-ray player. And Blu-ray players were selling for $1,200 at the time.
Brand new at the time. Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I'm definitely very, very excited. This is very, very exciting. I as I mentioned on Game Tech, it's like the first time in a long time where consoles are like maybe significantly outpacing like your current PC. And I'm sure PCs will catch up, and people will always buy the parts and build them themselves. When I talk about PC, I mean like average consumer PCs that are available. This is a huge step up than what most people are running, most PC gamers. And this is
growing up. I grew up a PC gamer, and I remember like there was an advantage to the consoles being like one thing, where like the especially the first parties were able to design a game for that single spec, and there was benefits to that. There was tangible visual benefits to that, where PC, like, yeah, you could max out your components and everything, but there's always like that scalability that held the design back. You don't have a first party for you had like Crysis eventually came out. You're like, well, can your PC run Crysis? That was it. But I feel like that's kind of what I'm excited about with this next one is there's a benefit to it being like a single spec and this single box for them to design for. So I can't wait to see it, man.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very excited in that regards. And a weird thing, but something I really was hoping to see. And when I saw people do hands-on videos, it was the one thing that I noticed. I wanted to see a new dashboard. I would love to see a new OS, and I want it to be fast. I want it to be really fast, like super
I think it's gonna be the same, dude.
Fast. I agree. I feel like they're working on like on a UI. And I think it's going to be better. It's going to be super fast on Series X, but I actually agree with you. I think they're working on a unified UI that fits for everything instead of juggling multiples. I actually agree with you. I think it's going to be the same thing. This is just the next better, bestest Xbox, but it's all Xbox. Mm-hmm. And I hope that we see like I actually would be excited. I feel like this is a really nerdy thing to say. I would like to see a UI comparison video. I would love to see like, hey, everybody that's been playing Series X or Xbox One X, here's how Series X is going to improve navigating the store, navigating your games and all that. I would actually really love to see that if it was like, see how fast this is to click in and out of the options and many of these things you do all the time. It's super fast now because of the SSD and all these things. That would get me really excited.
And apps, man.
And
anything
apps.
that like the Game Pass app is it we talked about when it first came out. I remember people going like, why do they need a separate app? It's like, because they need to throw away and get away from what is already within the Xbox app and try new things. And the install from the Xbox Game Pass app is way better than installing games from the normal app.
Speaking of the app, if we can bring up a little news, can you guys tell me what the hell perks are? I saw something about it, but I don't get it.
Oh.
I didn't dive into it. I don't know what it is.
So there's select games that are going to give you little in-game content for, and they're usually like free to play type games.
Well, free
like
to
DLC,
play.
but it's usually for free to play.
Like Fortnite stuff?
Not Fortnite, but other games. It's let me pull up the message real quick.
That doesn't sound very exciting to me. When I saw it, I was like, are they going to like start, is this like free to play? I was thinking like, is this like free to play DLC expansions? Is that like what they're trying to do? Like Game Pass?
Like playable levels? It seemed to be more like here's your an Ori set of sales or something that they had. So when you play Sea of Thieves, you can throw up like Ori sales.
So when I first saw it, I was like, are they going to start releasing like, you know, if we have games on Game Pass that have like expansions, here's the expansion for the Game Pass game. You know,
I mean, maybe they'll get there. That's definitely not what they launched with. So I don't know. It seems like a bit of a stretch to go from what they launched with to
never mind. I'm sorry I brought it up.
No, it's of all the things, it's like, okay, cool.
I saw a tweet about it and I was like, oh, that's awesome, but apparently it's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we've got
the biggest value out of that thing already. Like, I don't know, they're just kind of like sprinkling shit onto it.
To be honest with you, we spoke for, I don't know how long this podcast has been going on, but we've talked all this time. We really didn't talk about Game Pass at all. And to be honest with you, that is Xbox's. That's the thing they need to promote. That's it. You know, we talk about all the things, price and hardware and teraflops. When they launch this thing, like when they literally step up to the plate and they say, here's the date and how much it costs, the only other thing I want to hear from them is Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, and Game Pass. Yep. Because you've got Game Pass, here's Halo. Because you got Game Pass, here's Forza. Because you got Game Pass, here's Hellblade. Because you got Game Pass, here's Fable. I want to hear nothing but Game Pass after every game and every announcement they show. See this indie game? Game Pass. See this indie game? Game Pass. That's all I really want to hear from them. I want to hear Game Pass no less than Xbox 20 times.
Should be synonymous with it. ID at Xbox and Game Pass should be the exact same thing as far as I'm concerned. By the way, Nathan tried to end the show like 45 minutes ago, so we'll just keep going. Did you guys see there's screenshots? The Verge had an exclusive. This is actually just within the last like maybe 5 or 6 hours or something. Windows is running a test version. There's of xCloud. So you have xCloud running on your PC.
Finally.
So that to me is like the phone thing is cool for some people, and I've got the clip, and like it hasn't really landed in my lifestyle. But you fire up that screen of all those games on xCloud, and you put it on your PC, and you're like, now I don't need Steam. Like they're taking on Steam, dude.
Yep.
And I don't like. I knew that it was coming to Windows this entire time.
I already love the Xbox like PC app. So if they just have like Play Now, like Stream Now, like little buttons over the icons, like I'll be way more
with hardwired internet.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with your phone's Wi-Fi or anything like that. Like I think that's gonna be game changing. I'm
with you. The phone is never going to do it for me, but the moment it hits my iPad and my Chromebook, where I can actually set up a screen and then play, I'm sold.
I'm telling you, man, if it replaced the Stadia thing, like taking it onto your computer, you don't have to install games on your computer anymore. Like this SSD stuff isn't going to matter anymore because you're just like you don't have to worry about storage or anything.
That's exactly right.
That's the other side of the storage conversation, like that we didn't even have. It's like you probably wouldn't even have to download any of this stuff.
Yeah, or everything will be, as I've been saying since they announced it, everything will be playable right away.
Oh my gosh!
You'll download in the background while you stream the game. You know.
Yeah.
That'll be a thing that happens. Like play now, stream the game, and then we'll download it when you turn the box off. Like go to sleep and we'll download it. Then that'll be a thing that'll happen too.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be nice.
I've been saying that since they said xCloud. I think that's actually the most important thing that xCloud can do is you play your games right away while we download the game. So
even if it's a lower quality than the one that you're actually downloading
right away.
Mm-hmm.
While you
I've been hypothesizing. There's a couple of people out here out on the internet, I think, just kind of saying like with the quick resume, which survives a reboot, by the way. So if you've got really your game state kind of saved, and if you power off and you come back on,
what if you unplug?
That's what I think it's there, and I feel like
that's awesome.
What I
don't think so. I don't think if you unplug it.
My hypothesis that we'll find out later, obviously, is that the game state is saved in the cloud, that the game exists is being played in the cloud. And that's how it's coming back down. That's how it's surviving the reboot.
That'd be crazy.
Otherwise, what the hell is the reboot?
as long as the like it's got to be stored like in RAM, like in memory. As long as the memory has power, it's just instantly there, and you just access it.
Yeah, I would think if you have a hard shutdown, it would kill it because it'd be like it'd be in volatile RAM, not non-volatile RAM.
Well, it'd be
because
like,
it's kind of like transitory data.
I was gonna say it's you're wiping the cache. You're clearing any exactly. You know, that's one of the things I wanted to say, and maybe I reserve this for Game Tech, but you know, Devin's been talking a lot about this. Apparently, this came up. He and I were trading words about it when I came up for air a couple night for last about the PS5. Devin keeps bringing up the idea that game files will be. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he always keeps bringing up the fact that devs have duplicate data, and that's why these games are so big. I think it's a little misleading the way he says it because it makes it sound like there's like 3 or 4 versions of the same game on a disc, but that's not really the case. I've been looking into it, and what it is, you know, with the hard disk drives, they've got to go find where your data is located. It's like seek time, and it takes a few seconds, like, you know, every transaction. So what they do is in certain instances where they're looking for data that's not readily available, like in the stream, they put it nearby so the seek time is faster. So for anybody that's been listening to that for a while, I think Dev is right that we'll see more efficient game files, but I don't think we're going to see significant drop in game storage files. If anything, I think the new power and increased storage in game files are about to rocket up to a place we've never seen them before. But
especially this audio talk. Audio files are big, man.
Yeah. So it's just something that I think this has been going like on the Stadia cast. We've had this conversation, he and I, for like 7 episodes where he's like, plus they want to duplicate the game files. I'm like, I'm not exactly sure how much of that they're doing. Like I know it's there some, like it's a part of it, but yeah, SSDs will fix all of that too. Because everything with the SSD, as I understand it, is just like instantly available. Like it just knows where it is across the entire thing. There is 0 seek time. It's just like, yeah, it's right here, that's really cool. Exciting.
Mm-hmm. It's an exciting time for sure. Now, before we end the show, is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about?
So, Sean, we were supposed to hang out last week, and
yeah,
we could just keep going.
I know, man. I was supposed to be in your house on Monday. Yeah.
Sean and we're good pals, man. Like, I rearranged my entire basement. Sean and I were
Dang.
supposed to, we were going to break out all the house party equipment and we were going to do live show.
Yeah.
Either Shaq or something. We were just going to have it right here. My green screen, look, it's right there.
Dang.
I moved everything out of the way. I was going to turn the desk and just point there, and we were set to go. And all of this stuff happened, and it sucks because I felt bad for Sean. Sean was like, "I'm still coming." I was like, "What do you mean you're still coming?" He's like, "Well, we still have the class." I was like, "Dude, we've closed the entire city down. You can't get a
Isn't
dinner.
that crazy?
You can't get a drink. Don't come here. Stay
I know.
far away from here."
That's how quickly and like how down to the wire it was, man. I'm like, I'm still coming. It was like maybe a couple hours after that they're like, "You're not going anywhere."
I was like, "You've got a baby at home. Don't come here and go back." If I was Chelsea, I wouldn't let you in. Stay outside.
In the doghouse.
Well, had I gone, like, man, the whole like border thing changed around, and like Tony Baker just came back from a trip, and he's like, he can't go anywhere for 14 days.
So we got the plane today from France. I know a lot of people in the news have been talking about like there's a cruise ship in France. That cruise ship, the people from the flew here. We quarantined the whole plane. Test everything was going on all day long.
Yeah,
I think we released 3 of those people. 3 people out of that plane of 300 got to leave.
Nathan, why would you ever ask us if there's anything else we wanted to say if you're actually trying to shut down their show?
Hey, I'm good to keep on going, but you know, we're all different time zones here. I just want to make sure we're all good.
I got nothing but rum in bed. Like, I got nothing.
Nice.
I want to play. So my thing is, Sean,
Doom,
I haven't
man.
played Ori since I played Ori while we were talking on the thing.
Yeah, you got to beat it.
And my issue with it is, you know, everybody's like, well, you've got some time, like, play Ori. It's like, no, you don't understand. Like, the way I play Ori, I don't want to play Ori for, like, I'm actually already upset that it's gone this far since I've played it. I actually probably just restart the game.
Start it over.
Because I just want to sit down and just play it and beat it. Like, I'm not going to play Doom or Animal Crossing. I'm not going to play anything. Like, it's like I just got to sit down, play Ori, learn all the things about Ori, do it, and then move on to something else. But I did play it for about an hour and a half, Nathan. And it was funny, Sean. I was on Sean's stream. I was just hanging out with him. It was my birthday. That's right. It was my birthday. So it was my birthday, and I was playing with Sean, and I was like, all right, it's midnight. I'm going to play a little bit. I'm gonna boot it up. I'll run around for 5 minutes. 5 minutes turned like 25 minutes, turned like 45 minutes. It was like an hour and 30 minutes. I was like, yeah, I'm still playing Ori. Like,
Donnie and I are like, man, we're gaming like it's like the old days, dude. Like, we're just like doing everything. We're making bad decisions, like staying up way too late playing some of these games. Like, we're playing
like 2 in the morning.
Division
Like, you gotta
until
go to
2 in the
work.
morning.
Yeah, I gotta go to work.
Dude, like between Division and Ori, and now Doom is out. Like, there's a lot of great games
I'm
that
so
are,
far
that are
behind.
happening. I finished the Manhunt with Garrett Bland.
Ooh.
And now we're into other stuff there. I'm playing Doom on PS4, and it's just so grainy. You know what I mean? It's just like you just, oh my god, what is this thing, like 4 teraflops or something? It's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing, man. Like, my daughter has more teraflops. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding. It's fine.
That's
But
great.
Doom is great. Doom is actually.
I can't wait to play it. I can't wait to play. I'm
really
so upset that I feel like if I don't play Ori, I never will. So like I'm committed to playing it because I'm like I'll never come back. If I
Well,
do
you'll
like
skip
Animal
Bleeding
Crossing
Edge.
and Doom, I'll never make it back.
You're gonna skip Bleeding Edge. That's on March 24th, by the way. It's in 4 days. That thing
I
launches.
can't.
We
I won't have
just did a
time.
whole monthly episode of the State of the Xbox Empire. Not hitting
liked
radars, dude.
I
It's
liked
fine.
it. It was okay.
Yeah, it's.
It's not something
It was
I'm
okay.
gonna like. It was never gonna be something I was gonna be like into.
I agree.
I'm not
It
into
was
those types of
fun.
games.
I thought it was fun, like the couple rounds I played.
Yeah, I
but,
liked
It's
it.
not one of those things where it's like I'm not jonesing to play it.
I would play with you guys. Like I would play
Oh,
if friends
sure.
were playing. But that's
But I
the
want
only
to play
time I would play.
State of Decay with you instead, though.
I downloaded it. I hear this
Yeah, we
Juggernaut thing is great. I don't know if
wanna
it is
try
or
it.
not, but I'm gonna find out eventually after I beat Doom, Animal Crossing, and Ori.
Yeah.
I hate this coronavirus. It's like screwed. I had so many grand plans. So many plans. Last weekend, I was supposed to have Ori beat. Like Saturday, Sunday, beat Ori, get to Doom, get to Animal Crossing, and I haven't even played Ori. God.
We were supposed to be going to Disney this weekend.
Yeah, that's a good. You should go, Nathan. It'd be great. Like, go. Just rub elbows with everybody. Just be packed in there.
They're closed.
Oh, did they close? That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, they closed down until at least April 1st at this point. But yeah, we were going to be heading out to Disney this weekend, but that's not happening.
A lot of folks are really upset. They don't want to close. You know, like they're really like I don't know how it is your neck of the woods, but here,
Oh, they're upset.
like I said,
yeah.
our stores and stuff. But not only are they upset, like they're bustling. They're packed. It looks like Black Friday out here this past weekend. I went out to I went to go get gas. There are people everywhere. I was like, yeah, they just do not care. But I was also the town where the dude stabbed somebody with a wine bottle. So like we're like,
Was that down there?
It was my exact town, like across the street. I was like, of course, over here in Bumpkin, Redneckville, somebody stabbed somebody over some water, like a bunch of idiots. And it was plenty of water. There's water everywhere. It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
But the question I have for you guys is, are you guys recording your daily status updates so that way one day they will be collectibles that are found when somebody rummages through your house?
Oh, that's a good idea. I could create like a little trail. Like the story starts in the basement and it ends like other rooms of the house.
I'm going to pretend like I'm coming up with a vaccine and then I get murdered in my house.
Like you trial it and it goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, but I'll try it on my dog first.
Try it, like Link does it, ends dad.
Oh no, I tried it on myself. The mad scientist always tries it on himself first. It works on the dog, cures the dog, and he's like, obviously this will work on me. And then I turn into like Dr. Lizard or I don't know.
Chelsea.
I was thinking lizard in my head too.
Yeah. Wow. What's that about Chelsea?
I said Chelsea had to do what she had to do.
She had to do what she had to
That's
do.
the last note from the person that we didn't hear about the entire time. It's just like this whole new.
Yeah.
We're off the rails, Nate.
We're off the rails. We are totally. So final thoughts for me for this month is Series X is on the horizon. There were some weird Thanksgiving 2020 ads that went up on some of the actual Xbox websites.
It wasn't some, right? I heard this from Sean, if I remember the quote right. It was everyone but America. Right?
I don't know
Everybody across the
everyone but
globe. It
America.
was like a global launch except for America. Kind of makes you feel like it's not a coincidence.
I agree.
Yeah,
Which is weird because
it's like
do they
Europe,
all have
Brazil.
Nobody else has Thanksgiving.
Australia.
They don't have Thanksgiving.
That's why I'm saying it's really hard to believe it's a coincidence.
It is very odd, but
Somebody
it was
pushed the
on the
button
official
too soon.
sites. Or somebody was just having fun and hacked the system. You know, it's one of those things.
I feel like as much as I wanted that to be a thing, like, don't you think a date, like an actual like November, whatever the hell it would be, like, also Thanksgiving's very late in November. I want it earlier than that.
I did too.
If that,
But,
yeah, I mean, early November to me would always that's like the Xbox timeline, like November 16th, 17th, somewhere
you
in
want to
there.
get like 10 days out in front of Thanksgiving, Black Friday.
launch a day and date with Call of Duty and bring Call of Duty back home, baby. That's the thing.
Launch
Those
this
are the
thing in
things that
September. Like, let me get my box. Like, why do I have to wait for Black Friday? I'm going to give you the money anyway. So go ahead and take it early. Like, take it now.
yeah, and then sell me games on Black Friday.
Especially with, however, this is going to impact production. Sell as early as you can so you're making time to sell more. Like, try to.
You know what? Sell me by the parts, man. If this thing is going to be expensive, like, let me buy the.
So that's
the
what Nate, that's
Vapor-
what you were talking about earlier with how they could really bring the price down.
Yeah,
It's like,
let me
we'll
buy
sell
the
you
components.
the
Let me buy the
RAM.
box now, the tower,
Some
Where's the
assembly
case?
required.
this
Oh, man.
mid-sized tower thing. Let me do that first. So
It
let me buy the
reminds me of,
controller
like-
in July.
You remember like last year ago, where like the loot crate things become all the rage? It's like, just
Oh,
give
yeah.
us $25 a month, and every month we'll send you a piece.
Yeah,
You just
down.
start clicking it together.
Dude, that would be amazing.
Sean, where can folks find you?
Hunkered down in my Canadian basement, or on the internet at twitter.com/Sean Capri. I don't know why I give the whole URL. Or twitch.tv/Sean Capri. On Tuesday and Thursday nights. And if you like any of this nonsense, goodness gracious, I have a much shorter version every week on the Xbox Drive, where I record an Xbox podcast from my car with my good friend Ryan Turford, the man on the moose. That's on all podcast services, Google Play, Spotify, all the rest, man. Thanks for having me on, by the way. This has been an amazing time. We went off the rails, but lots to catch up on when you have a monthly show, even though everything we talked about happened within like the last 4.5 days.
Sometimes you need to go off the rails. It's okay.
course.
But we're happy to have you on, obviously. Mr. Reese, where can folks find you?
I'm not exactly sure how much you'll find me. You can find me in the Discord, psvg.blog/Discord. Visit us over on Patreon, patreon.com/PSVG. Come support us, support the house show, support all the things. I'm really hoping to be back on Nintendo Shack this week. It will depend on like what this week will become. Sunday is like my first day off, so I'm hoping to podcast something Sunday, and then I'm really hoping that I'll be able to make time and kind of be more around. But again, if this thing keeps going, I just don't know. I was really, really happy that I got to do this show with you guys tonight. I almost completely backed out of it because I was like, I don't know anything. I haven't played anything, but I'm actually really, really happy I didn't. I had a lot of fun.
Same.
So Nathan, thanks for that last heave. Like, hey, if you want to come join us, we'll be here. Like, I really appreciate it because I kind of feel like I needed it. You know, I really needed it. I just needed to hang out for a little bit. So it's been really, really good. But you can find me on Twitter at Playing Nintendo.
And you can find me on Twitter at Voiced by Nathan, or Voice Ed by Nathan, as some have said. And you can find the show at the Xbox Empire. You know, I didn't say it wrong this time, even though Sean's here. And of course, everything PSVG is over at Twitter on PSVG, like Donnie had mentioned as well. Gentlemen, thank you again for joining me this month. Donnie, do you have our PSVG patrons?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry, patrons. You know what? Thank you, Callow, Barry Cathcart, Egg Shin, Michael Masick,
Nice.
Devin Tyus, Kyle Heyman,
Josh the Borboni.
Josh the Bonesaw Borboni, Coach Mo. I want to say Benji, but I think he quit like 5 months ago. I don't remember. If I don't, you know what? I'll double up on Shaq or something. Forgive me, guys. I have nothing. I didn't know we were talking about the show. I don't have notes for the show.
You're good.
I turned on the webcam and I hit go.
That's good. It was a nice off the cuff rendition. I liked it. You did more than I could do, so congratulations there. So again, everybody, thank you for listening to this episode. We'll call it this recording of the State of the Xbox Empire for what month is this now? This is March 2020. The Xbox Empire has never been stronger or more powerful.
Very good. Very good.